For a temporary electrical service, especially when relocating a panel during construction, selecting the right cable is crucial. Aluminum service entrance, or C, cable is generally recommended. This is because it's designed for outdoor use and typically provides sufficient ampacity for a 200 amp service. Determining the correct cable size involves considering both the electrical load and the distance the cable will span. A simplified formula to estimate the cable size is cable size in American wire gauge equals 10 times the sum of the load in amps and the distance in feet. For instance, if the anticipated load is 100 amps and the distance from the temporary disconnect to the existing panel is 50 feet, the calculation would be as follows. Cable size in American wire gauge equals 10 times the sum of 100 amps and 50 feet, which equals 1500 American wire gauge. Since a 1500 American wire gauge cable does not exist, you would select the next larger readily available standard size. This example is for illustration purposes. Always consult relevant electrical codes and tables for precise sizing. Several additional considerations are very important for a safe and compliant temporary service installation. Firstly, it is best to run the SE cable through a conduit. This provides physical protection against damage from tools, equipment, or environmental factors. Secondly, use connectors and clamps specifically rated for the size and type of cable you are using. This ensures secure and reliable connections at both the temporary disconnect and the existing panel. Thirdly, proper grounding is absolutely essential. Ensure that all components of the temporary service are adequately grounded according to local electrical codes. This protects against electrical shock and equipment damage. Fourthly, weather protection is important. Seal any conduit openings to prevent water from entering the system. Water intrusion can lead to corrosion, short circuits, and other electrical hazards. Fifthly, in most jurisdictions, a permit is required for the installation of a temporary electrical service. Contact your local building department or electrical inspector to determine the specific requirements in your area. They can provide guidance on inspections, codes, and any necessary documentation. Always remember that a temporary electrical service is intended only as an interim solution. It should only be used until the permanent service is installed. It is not meant to be a long-term electrical solution. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides comprehensive guidelines for electrical installations, including temporary services. Article 590 covers temporary installations. Here are some key aspects from that article that apply. Temporary wiring methods are permitted for a period not to exceed 90 days for holiday, decorative lighting, and similar purposes. For construction, remodeling, maintenance, repair, or demolition of buildings, structures, or equipment, and similar activities, temporary electrical power and lighting installations are permitted for the duration of the project. All temporary wiring must be protected from physical damage. This protection can be provided through various means, such as running cables through conduit or using flexible cords listed for hard usage. Temporary lighting fixtures must be protected from accidental contact and physical damage. Lamp holders must be of the heavy-duty type. Flexible cords and cables must be securely fastened in place and not subject to strain. Overcurrent protection must be provided in accordance with the ampacity of the conductors. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection is required for all 125 volt, 15, 20, and 30 amp receptacles that are not part of the permanent wiring of the building or structure. This requirement aims to protect personnel from electrical shock hazards. The grounding of temporary electrical systems must comply with the requirements outlined in Article 250 of the NEC. All non-current carrying metal parts of equipment and enclosures must be grounded. Temporary services must be installed in accordance with Article 230 of the NEC. This includes requirements for service entrance conductors, overcurrent protection, and disconnecting means. Maintain clear access and working space around all electrical equipment. This ensures that qualified personnel can safely inspect, maintain, and repair the equipment. All temporary electrical installations must be inspected and approved by the authority having jurisdiction (OAJ) before being put into service. This inspection ensures that the installation complies with all applicable codes and standards. Be aware that the AHJ may have additional requirements or interpretations of the NEC that must be followed. Compliance with the NEC is essential for ensuring the safety of people and property. Failure to comply with these requirements can result in serious electrical hazards and potential legal liability. Article 310.15 of the NEC covers allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to and including 2000 volts. The ampacity of a conductor is the maximum current, in amps, that the conductor can carry continuously under specific conditions of use without exceeding its temperature rating. The NEC provides tables that list the allowable ampacities of conductors based on their insulation type, size, and insulation conditions. Factors such as ambient temperature and the number of current-carrying conductors in a raceway or cable can affect the ampacity of a conductor. Correction factors and adjustment factors are applied to the ampacity values listed in the tables to account for these conditions. Conductors must be protected against overcurrent in accordance with their ampacity. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, must be sized to protect the conductors from overheating and potential damage. The NEC specifies the types of wiring methods that are permitted for different applications. Wiring methods include conduit, cable, and other raceway systems. Each wiring method has its own set of installation requirements and limitations. The NEC provides detailed requirements for the installation of electrical equipment, such as panel boards, switchboards, and motor control centers. These requirements cover topics such as working space, access, and guarding of live parts. Electrical equipment must be listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories or ALL. Listing and labeling indicate that the equipment has been tested and found to be safe for its intended use. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards that covers all aspects of electrical installations. It is essential for electricians, electrical contractors, and other professionals in the electrical industry to be familiar with the NEC and to follow its requirements. Failure to comply with the NEC can result in serious electrical hazards and potential legal liability. Aluminum SE cable is a popular choice for temporary service because it is relatively inexpensive and easy to install. It is also resistant to corrosion and can withstand exposure to sunlight and weather. However, aluminum SE cable has a lower ampacity than copper cable of the same size. Therefore, it is important to select the correct size of aluminum SE cable to ensure that it can safely carry the expected load. The NEC provides tables that list the allowable ampacities of aluminum conductors. These tables should be consulted to determine the correct size of aluminum SE cable for a particular application. In addition to selecting the correct size of cable, it is also important to install it properly. Aluminum SE cable should be supported at intervals not exceeding 4.5 feet. The cable should also be protected from physical damage. One way to protect the cable is to run it through a conduit. Conduit is a rigid or flexible tube that is used to protect electrical wiring. Conduit can be made of metal or plastic. Metal conduit provides the best protection against physical damage. However, plastic conduit is easier to install. The type of conduit that is used will depend on the specific application. All electrical connections must be made in accordance with the NEC. Electrical connections must be tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and electrical fires. Electrical connections should be made in a junction box. A junction box is a metal or plastic box that is used to enclose electrical connections. Junction boxes protect the connections from physical damage and prevent accidental contact with live wires. Grounding is an important safety measure that helps to protect people from electrical shock. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source. This causes the circuit breaker to trip, which interrupts the flow of electricity and prevents electrical shock. All electrical equipment must be grounded in accordance with the NEC. The grounding electrode system must be connected to the neutral conductor at the service entrance. The grounding electrode system typically consists of a ground rod, a ground plate, or a metal water pipe. The grounding electrode system must be installed in accordance with the NEC. Overcurrent protection is another important safety measure that helps to protect electrical wiring from damage. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to interrupt the flow of electricity if the current exceeds the ampacity of the wiring. Circuit breakers and fuses must be sized to protect the wiring from overheating and potential damage. Circuit breakers and fuses must be installed in accordance with the NEC. A disconnecting means is a device that is used to disconnect electrical equipment from the power supply. The disconnecting means must be readily accessible and must be located within sight of the equipment. The disconnecting means must be capable of disconnecting all ungrounded conductors. The disconnecting means must be installed in accordance with the NEC. Electrical work can be dangerous. It is important to take precautions to protect yourself from electrical shock. Always turn off the power before working on electrical equipment. Use insulated tools. Wear rubber gloves and shoes. Work in a dry area. If you are not comfortable working on electrical equipment, hire a qualified electrician. Qualified electricians are trained to install and repair electrical equipment safely and in accordance with the NEC. Hiring a qualified electrician can help to ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. Always obtain a permit before starting any electrical work. Permits are required for most electrical installations. Permits help to ensure that the work is done safely and in accordance with the NEC. Contact your local building department to obtain a permit. The building department will inspect the work to ensure that it meets the requirements of the NEC. Temporary electrical services are often used during construction projects. Temporary electrical services provide power for tools, equipment, and lighting. Temporary electrical services must be installed in accordance with the NEC. Temporary electrical services must be inspected and approved by the building department before they are put into service. When installing a temporary service, one must consider the load calculations, the wire size, the overcurrent protection, the grounding, and the disconnecting means. These are all very important for a safe install.